Welcome back, guys. This is the King of Weebs here, and I really cannot believe you guys actually hit 105 likes in less than 20 hours. Like, why? I just got my school break, well, my class break, and it's an hour, so I will be making the 50-minute video. You see, I love you so much that I am literally spending my whole break just for you guys. So wherever, this is What If Naruto Left the Village part 6. Last time we left off with Naruto kind of bodying Orochimaru, but Orochimaru wasn't really trying, and he wanted to try, but he was already too injured by then, and he did escape, and Naruto couldn't catch him. Then they did get attacked, but this time they don't get attacked while Sasuke is still asleep. As soon as he wakes up with the curse mark, they attack him then. And Sasuke bodies one of them, Naruto bodies one of them, and also I'll say Gaara bodies one of them as well. And then they leave Team 7, and Naruto's team goes off. Yumi asks Naruto, what happened to that guy before he didn't have all those marks? And Naruto did seal away the curse mark, because Naruto did learn a few sealing techniques. And so that's it for the second exam. So now they have a whole week, and Naruto's like, well, you guys can go while I go train a bit more. And they're like, wow, you're going back to training already. And Gaara trains a lot as well, but not as intensively as Naruto, because Naruto, he trains pretty much every single minute that he has free. Even though he's about to go sleep, he literally does chakra control training right before that, because Naruto and Gaara know each other, and Gaara's like, just don't put too much of a strain on you, and Naruto's like, don't worry. And he goes off, and so he's training, and sorry, he's training, and Gaara then appears out of nowhere and says, so Naruto, is this your training? And Naruto's like, no, I'm just warming up. And Gaara's like, you call this warming up when you're freezing trees everywhere? And Naruto's like, it's not much. And Gaara's like, yeah, not much. Nah, not much. So then Gaara's like, Naruto's like, how about you go back to Yumi? She must be waiting for you, right? And Gaara's like, yes. And he's like, and Naruto's like, just have fun, but not too much fun. He was trying to make a little joke there, but Gaara didn't really understand it. Naruto's like, don't, you're so clueless. And because Naruto is kind of a pervert here, yes, he did learn these kind of things in the village, and it's basically the normal Naruto, but he only acts normal with his friends. So Naruto's training, and then Haku appears out of nowhere and says, Naruto, you're training again? And Naruto's like, yeah, of course, I don't have any time to waste. And Haku's like, just don't put too much of a strain on your body. Remember, overtraining overtraining isn't good. And Naruto's like, the only reason I've been able to get this strong is thanks to my overtraining. And Naruto is like Stain, you know Stain from My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia, and he basically trains his body to the max. To the max. He trained for 10 years non-stop, and he became like a lot stronger, like a lot stronger. Like Stain, even without his quirk, was able to go up against Todoroki, who was using fire and his ice. And Stain was actually putting up a really good fight against Todoroki, and Todoroki's like, this guy's too strong. And of course they didn't lose, of course, but they were close to losing. That's what I'm gonna say. So Naruto trains like that and says, this is the only way I can get stronger. And then Haku's like, you don't always have to do this, Naruto. There is other ways to train. And Naruto's like, I know there is, but this is this is my way of training, and it's the most effective for me. And Haku understands it. It's like, alright Naruto, you do you, but just don't get hurt or anything like that. And Naruto's like, I won't. And he goes back to training. So Naruto is training, so hard that he literally faints. He has no more energy left, and then it was like night time, and Haku realized that Naruto isn't back yet. So he's like to Zabuza hasn't been back because he has to patrol the village to protect it, since they do have a treaty now. And Haku's like, maybe I should go check on Naruto. So Haku makes, like, let's say 2 clones, and they go off to search Naruto because he couldn't find him where he found him before. And Naruto went deeper in the forest to train even harder, so no one can really see him or distract him. And then Haku finds him near a river where water is flowing, and basically Naruto's just lying on top of a rock in the middle of the river. It's like, Naruto, that's dangerous, come back. And Naruto, well, he doesn't say, hey, Naruto is dangerous, but I'm saying that he went to Naruto and said, it's dangerous to be here, come home. And Naruto's like, oh, I must have fell asleep. And Naruto, and then Haku's like, it's fine, just come home now. And Naruto's gone home, and so Haku took Naruto home, and they're socializing, and they said, oh, so how's your training been the past few days? And Naruto's like, it's been really good. And so Naruto did learn a few new techniques, like the the ice web jutsu. He just made it up, and he actually works for him. And he also made this new jutsu called the ice binding jutsu. So it's like the wood binding jutsu, but it's basically him using ice to bind people. And there is more that he learned. He learned, like, how to use a lot more techniques, like for example, he can increase the amount of when he's in the middle of a fight, he can basically like so around him there's going to be ice, and multiple spikes come out from the circle around him, and they go all sides, left, right, center, whatever, up, down, and they kind of annihilate anyone who tries to attack him. But of course Naruto doesn't have that yet, and so, well, he hasn't mastered it yet. Not doesn't have it, he has it, but he hasn't mastered it. So Naruto is now home. He had a bath, and he's like, and Haku's like, Zabuza's not going to be home for a few days, they want to go out. And Naruto's like, I mean, it is only the fourth day, second day of training, and Sasuke, Naruto and Haku go out to Ichiraku Ramen, and they're eating there until someone walks in, and that someone is Gaara and Gaara and and Yumi, and they're like, oh, hey Naruto, and Naruto's like, hello, and then Yumi's like, hello to you, Haku, as well, and Haku's like, yo, what's up? And then Naruto's like, so what were you guys doing? And they're like, we were just hanging out, going out. And Naruto's like, that's nice. And then Haku's like, so where did you guys go? And they're like, well, we went to this little resort where you get massages. Let's just say he did. And they were really relaxed, and they just wanted to eat. So that's the first day done, and now we head off to the second day. So the second day Naruto goes back to training, but this time he gets stopped by Haku, and Haku's like, no Naruto, not now, you have to get your rest, you're going to get too tired like this. And Naruto's like, I can't rest, I need to keep training. And Haku's like, no Naruto, you're going to get exhausted, and you're not going to be able to pass the exams. And Naruto's like, no, I will never stop. And he keeps training. Haku does stop him midway because he knows that Naruto is overtraining completely, and Is like, that's enough, Naruto. You won't be training for the next few days. And Naruto's like, but why? I need to keep going. And Haku's like, Naruto, you're going to strain your body like this. There is no point of this. And Naruto's like, there is a point. I need to accomplish my dream. And Haku's like, your dream will come true, but it won't come true if you kill yourself like this. And Naruto realizes that Haku has a point, and he's like, okay. And he faints on Haku, and Haku's like, that's a good brother. Now let's go home. Naruto sleeps for most of the day, and then wakes up to see Haku making dinner for him. And Naruto's like, oh, thank you. And Haku's like, there's no need to thank me. You're my little brother. And Naruto then stood up and said, do you want to go out again and have and go hang out? And Haku's like, I mean, we could stay out till late since Zabuza is still not gonna come back today, and I mean, we do have the rest of the few days free. And they go out. They're having fun, but of course Naruto gives the apathetic face to every single person that looks at him. And there weren't many fights this time. Haku didn't literally try to annihilate someone's soul out of them with his kunais. And then Haku's like, hey, do you want to do you want to go to that resort Yumi and Garo went last time? And Naruto's like, yeah, sure. And once they went to the resort, they did get a massage, and they were completely relaxed. So Naruto, now I told you what Naruto does for the next few days. So this is their routine for the next few days until the preliminaries are come. And Naruto is hyped about these preliminaries, and he wants to fight straight away. But of course, his fight is like third, and he does have to fight. What's his name? I forgot his name. He has to fight Kiba, just as usual, and he kind of annihilates him. He literally freezes Kiba before he can even get a chance to fight. So basically he stops them in their tracks. Well, he stops Kiba and Akamaru in their tracks while they were trying to attack him. And Naruto's like, that's enough, you're not going anywhere. And Naruto then says, okay, so I won, can I just go back? And the proctors that year go on, and all the fights are pretty much the same, except for Hinata's one and Gaara's one. Gaara doesn't break Lee's legs, but of course he does still have to win, and he wins, of course. But then what happens next is the Hinata versus Neji fight, and this is when Naruto was just giving that pathetic face to everyone that was looking at him. And as soon as he saw Neji going for the kill, all the Jonin came in. But the thing is, they couldn't even by the time they decided to jump, Naruto did freeze what's his name, Neji completely, just like he did in the what's it called, the Forest of Death against Orochimaru. Since I'll say this was the last fight, he completely freezes Neji and says, why and says, I will defeat you in the finals. You might have won this fight, but not against me. And everyone's completely shocked how strong Naruto is, and how he was able to just freeze Neji like that. And they were pretty some of them were really confused on what he did, because they knew he knew ice style, but they didn't know he had this much power. Haku was completely stunned that Naruto would actually do this, and he's like, no, Naruto, you know me to show all this to them. And then Naruto goes back, and he holds Hinata and says, you're right. And Hinata's like, yeah. And Naruto's like, hey, who's your sensei? She needs to take you to the hospital. And Kuronai does take her to the hospital. The preliminaries are done, and then we come to the 1 month training. This is where Naruto decides to train on his own with Haku, well, on his own, and then one day with Haku. So the first day he trains on his own, the second day with Haku, and then the third day Haku's like, I'm sorry, Naruto, but I have to start patrolling now. My 2-week break is pretty much over now. And Naruto's like, yeah, alright. And Haku's gone, and Naruto decides to go down to the village so he can get some ramen, until he bumps into this guy with long white hair with markings underneath his eye, and with a scroll around his waist. And Naruto's like, oh damn, sorry, my bad. And he holds his hand out with his eyes half closed. And then once he opens them, he realizes this is Jiraiya, and is like, wait, and basically freezes Jiraiya on the spot. Well, not completely, he just freezes his legs and hands, and gets Sukuna and says, give me the key now. And Naruto knows that that's his godfather, but he's just trying to test his godfather's strength, because he knows that if this was his father's master, he would be able to beat Naruto easily, even if Naruto had all these techniques. And then what happens next is pretty confusing to Naruto. Basically, Jiraiya breaks out the ice. Then Naruto's trying to basically, he wants to fake stab him, but what happens next is Jiraiya holds the kunai in his hand, starts bleeding, he breaks it, and he hugs Naruto and says, I'm so sorry, Naruto, this is all because of me. And Naruto's like, what do you mean? And basically he's trying to act confused, but he knows what Jiraiya means. And what happens next is confusing to all the villagers. Basically they disappear, and then they appear on a hill, and Jiraiya's like, I'm so sorry. And then Naruto starts crying, saying, it's fine, it's not your fault. And then Jiraiya tells him that who he is, and then Naruto says, I already know who you are, I just want you to teach me how to open the gate of the Nine Tails. And Jiraiya's like, what do you mean? You can't, the Nine Tails will take over, you're not strong enough. And Naruto's like, oh, I'm sure you don't know about this, but look. And he goes to KCM and says, this is my true strength, but I can get more since the Nine Tails is cooperating with me, but he's behind the cage, so I can't use Kurama's full chakra. And then he's like, who's Kurama? And then Naruto's like, all the tail beasts have a name, and Kurama is the Nine Tails beast, and even the One Tails has a name, who is pretty ruthless, to be honest, and says his name is Shikaku. And Naruto says that, and then Jiraiya's like, first I want to know what your dream is. And because the third Hokage did say that give info about Naruto when he was still 4 years old. He used to give basically reports about Naruto's well-being and everything, and he said that he always wanted to become Hokage, and his dream is to become Hokage until he disappeared. And the third Hokage did tell him, and Jiraiya was pretty sad at this, because he wasn't there for Naruto when he needed him most. And then out of nowhere, Naruto's like, well, my dream is to show the world that all the tail beasts have a soul. And Naruto is like, and then Jiraiya's like, that's actually a really good dream. And he's like, okay, I'll show you how to open the seal to the gate, but first I want to teach you for this 1 month training. And Naruto's like, what are you going to teach me? And Jiraiya says, look at this. And he does the summoning jutsu and summons Gamabunta, and Naruto is really surprised at this, and he's like, whoa, I want to do that. And he does learn the toad summoning, and he's able to do it since Kurama's cooperating with him, and he does have to stay on top of Gamabunta for a full day, and he's able to do that. And then Jiraiya's like, hey, Naruto, do you know who your father is, if the Nine Tails is your friend? And Naruto's like, yes, it's the fourth Hokage. And then Jiraiya's like, do you want to learn a technique that me and him have developed together? And Naruto's like, really? There's a technique that you two developed together? And Jiraiya shows him the Rasengan, and Naruto's like, whoa, what the hell? That looks like a tail beast bomb. And then Jiraiya's like, yeah, the fourth Hokage made this to basically be a more efficient way of a tail beast bomb that anyone could use, but he needs a lot of training. And then Naruto is like, let me try that. And he does know how to do the rotation and the containment, but the rotation and the containment, but he doesn't know how to still make the Rasengan. And Jiraiya is really impressed by Naruto already knowing the first two steps without even trying to learn them. And Naruto said, well, I saw them since first I could tell your chakra was rotating, and to keep such a dense, well, for the tail beast bomb you need a dense amount of the chakra is in one place and it's really dense, so you need chakra containment. So I tried it myself with my own chakra, but it didn't work. And Jiraiya's like, you just need a few more days of training, if you a few more a bit more training. And Naruto's like, alright, and he trains for the next 2 weeks because he's not in a hurry, and he does basically he has the Rasengan with a clone, the first Rasengan he's able to do, but he's still not satisfied. He wants to do it with one hand, and he takes another week to learn that, and he's able to do it with one hand, but he only has a week left. And Jiraiya's like, I'm sure now I can give you the key. And Jiraiya does summon the toad that had the key, and then he says, are you sure, Jiraiya? Is Naruto worthy yet? And Jiraiya's like, Naruto's strong enough. But the thing that Jiraiya doesn't know is Naruto's ice release. And then the toad's like, alright, here's the key. And Naruto's chakra, well, as soon as he unlocks Kurama, not only Kurama is really happy about this, but Naruto goes and hugs him. Well, he hugs his arm, and says, yeah, you're free. And Kurama's like, yes, boy, I'm free now. And then what happens next is kind of confusing. Basically, to Jiraiya's kind of to Naruto's kind of confusing, but Jiraiya doesn't really think much of it. Same with Kurama, then they're going to explain to him. His chakra levels increased exponentially, and he's like, wait, why do I feel such amount of chakra without using the chakra mode? And Kurama's like, well, that's because me and your chakra have combined, we're combined now. And Naruto's like, whoa, that's cool. And then Naruto does try to go KCM too, and then Kurama's like, you can even summon me as an avatar, something like that, but not in here, not yet. So the thing that changes in this what if is not it's a lot of things that change, and the thing that really confuses Jiraiya is how Naruto is able to already use this form so quick without even trying to train with it. And Naruto's like, well, you see, KCM is something that I've had for years now, and that really has I got a hang of it using KCM, so this chakra mode is pretty much the same, just a bit stronger, so I do still need some training to master it. And Jiraiya's like, oh, okay, I understand. So then then Jiraiya's like, can I see your moveset and what type of chakra natures you have? And Naruto's like, well, I got all 5 chakra natures, and I got an extra chakra nature that I made by combining 2. And Jiraiya's like, you're joking, right? And then I know it's weird that Jiraiya didn't ask him from the beginning, but Jiraiya never really thought of it from the beginning because he didn't care right now. He was trying to train Naruto in the Rasengan, and Naruto shows him a few earth style jutsus, lightning release jutsus, water release, fire release, and then even wind release. He does the wind gale palm if no one knew, and he knows how to add it to weapons. And Naruto's like, and then Jiraiya's like, and what is the chakra nature that you said that if you combine 2 you can make one? And then Naruto's like, well, first you need water. And after Naruto said water, he's like, no way, he unlocked wood style. And then Naruto says, and then you add wind. And Jiraiya's like, what? And then Naruto's like, so let's say both my hands have 2 different chakra natures, so wind and water, wind on left and right, and water on the right. And then he claps his hands together, and then he makes ice come out of his ice surround them, and he freezes a tree and says, you see? And then Jiraiya's like, that is actually really impressive, Naruto. Jiraiya tries it himself. He doesn't really do it properly, but now Naruto's like, that's how I started off. If you train a bit more, you might be able to do it too. And Jiraiya does want to learn this, and it's like, thank you, Naruto. And then Naruto is like, oh, you see, I've met my father and mother, and one thing my dad told me is that the Rasengan isn't completed. And Jiraiya's like, yes, I know the Rasengan isn't completed. The Rasengan, you can add a chakra nature to the Rasengan, but I don't and I've never understood how I could do that. Now today, well, I've imagined adding fire release to it, and I've imagined a fire Rasengan. That he dreamed about this basically, and then Naruto's like, let me see if I can try it. So Naruto makes a Rasengan, and then he tries adding fire release to it. Not only the Rasengan turns red, but there's fire around it. But the thing is, Naruto doesn't know how to control this yet, because he's not really an expert in fire release. So because he doesn't really use it as much as water, wind, and ice, and maybe even lightning sometimes. Earth and fire are just two chakra natures he never uses. Basically, he uses them, but mostly in crisis situations, because fire release can just burn people, and earth release can just protect. Well, he can make barriers, and he can waste time so his comrades can escape. So he uses them for crisis situations, and his Rasengan explodes on himself, and it kind of burns him, and then Jiraiya's like water style, let's say water release, water. I don't know. He just does some. So basically, he just summons water with water chakra, water release in his chakra, and he's like, let me try that. And Jiraiya does it, and he's able to master it since he's more used to the Rasengan, and he's able to smash it against the tree, and the tree starts a fire, and Naruto's like, yeah, that's what is meant to happen, but first let's put out this fire. And Naruto summons his ice and literally freezes the fire, because the ice is so cold, the fire literally freezes. And Jiraiya's really impressed by this, is that your ice is so cold it can freeze even fire. And Naruto's that I've been training in decreasing the temperature of my ice, but I can't really use. This is where Naruto shows his flaws. He says, I can't really continuously use a such cold ice, because then it will affect my body. And Jiraiya's like, then you should try to heat it up with fire release, right? And Naruto never really thought of this, and he's like, but how? I'm not just going to fire off, let's say, a fireball onto myself. And Jiraiya's like, how about you try to increase the body heat? Once you start getting colder and colder, how about you try to increase your body heat by increasing the chakra in flow in your body, and adding fire release to it, and that will make the chakra warmer and maybe even hotter. And well, it will make it hotter, and that will help Naruto. So Naruto says, let me try that, and he spams, let's say, his coldest ice on a tree, and he makes a pretty big, well, a little hill on top of the hill. Yes, and he's really cold and he's shaking, and then Naruto tries the thing, and he actually he stops shaking, and he can move as fast as he can before. And Naruto's like, that's actually really smart, I should do that. And Jiraiya's like, no problem. And Naruto's like, how about we try to add more releases to the Rasengan, since they do have a few more days, let's say 4 days left. And Naruto has learned the wind Rasengan, not the Rasen Shuriken. He's like, I feel like the wind Rasengan has a more potential than any other Rasengan. And Jiraiya's like, what do you mean? And Naruto's like, chakra transformation, like how to transform chakra into different forms. And Jiraiya's like, yeah. And Naruto's like, what if we try to make the wind Rasengan into a shuriken like Rasengan and try to throw it? And Jiraiya's like, we should actually try that. Naruto did learn the earth Rasengan, so he's like a spike ball Rasengan, and he did master the fire Rasengan, also the water Rasengan. Basically, the water Rasengan, once he explodes, the particles of the water that is out, they become needles, and they stab the opponent if Naruto wants to. Well, and if he doesn't, he can just make a water prison. So basically, Naruto is going to show this to Zabuza, and Zabuza is going to be really happy about this. He knows that because Zabuza is a fanatic of water release. And Naruto's like, I'll show this to that. And Jiraiya's like, let's see. So if I change the transformation of the chakra, and then out of nowhere Jiraiya makes a Rasen Shuriken, and Naruto's like, yes, that's it, that's what I wanted to See, and Jiraiya's like, yeah, that's actually really good. And then Jiraiya tries to throw it, but then once he throws it, the Rasengan just loses its chakra and realizes that he needs more training in this. And Naruto did also learn about the vanishing Rasengan, adding lightning release to it, but Jiraiya can't learn that since he doesn't have lightning release. He only has fire, water, earth, and wind. I say only, but that is actually a lot. Sorry, guys. So Naruto says bye to Jiraiya because he needs like the last 2 days off since he's been training hard and he hasn't been home, to the hotel. And the Zabuza and Haku are there and they're like, we've heard about your training with Jiraiya, the legendary Sani. And Naruto's like, yeah, I want to show you something that I learned before. And then Zabuza's like, first have a bath and come and have lunch. And Naruto goes and has a bath. They have lunch. So basically, Haku just made, let's say, Haku made a meal for them out of, let's say, fish he bought from the market. And then he's like, can we go outside to do this? And Naruto, Zabuza, and Haku do come out and they say, go on, show us. They're near a forest. So basically, let's say they're on Team 7's training ground. They're like, they got permission to use it. And Naruto says, is it okay if you can make a clone, a really strong one? And Haku's like, I'll make an ice clone then. And Haku, yes, ice clones, they exist. Haku and Naruto developed it. So remember, Naruto does one more thing. If you guys forgot that Naruto knows how to use a substitution jutsu with doves, that is going to come up in the Chunin exams, just saying. So his doves are blue to show sadness, and doves do represent love in Greek mythology. So yeah, so Naruto does the water Rasengan. He's like, water release, water Rasengan. And first he shows that the Rasengan not only explodes and it makes a water prison, and Haku's clone basically poofs into ice. But then it's like, can you make one more? And then Naruto does the water, says water style, water needle Rasengan, and they're confused. Before he said water prison Rasengan, and now it's like water needle Rasengan. And once he explodes, they see the particles of the Rasengan just overflowing, around Haku's clone, and then they turn into needles and they all stab Haku and turn back to water, and Haku's clone is completely gone. And they're really impressed, and Zabuza's like, that's my boy. Finally, you're learning water release. And Naruto's like, well, I learned other releases like the Spike Ball Rasengan, which is basically a Earth style Spike Ball Rasengan, Fire style Fire Rasengan, and also water a Lightning style Vanishing Rasengan, and Wind style Wind Rasengan, which makes a spinning like a little twister of wind, but it's not a tornado, of course. And Naruto's like, this move is not finished. The Wind Rasengan, you can change the form of it and make it into a Rasen Shuriken. And they already made the name for it, and they said, he says Wind style Rasen Shuriken. He can't really make it, but he tries to make it in front of them just to see if he could do it. He kind of makes it, but then he just turns into a normal Wind Rasengan, and then tells them that he hasn't mastered this technique with Jiraiya yet. And they're like, well, you did a lot, Naruto. We're proud. And then Haku is like, hey, have you ever tried to add ice release on a Rasengan? And Naruto's like, whoa, that would be so cool. And then Naruto does that. It does add ice release. Since he is a master of ice release, he does know how to do an ice Rasengan. He's like, ice style, ice style freezing Rasengan, and he does it on, let's say, a tree, and the tree literally, basically what happens is, what he did against in the Chunin exams, he literally does that. Well, in the preliminaries against Neji, he basically does that, but what happens is that it goes through the tree, not completely freezes the tree. It literally stabs the tree after the tree gets first. There is a explosion which makes a dent on the tree, and then ice starts. Basically, you know how you would get stabbed, and the blade would come out from your back. It's like that, but just with ice. And they're like, never use that in the training exams. You don't want to kill anyone here. And Naruto's like, yeah, I won't. So Naruto does say, can you help me? And asks Haku if you can help him train, well, for this last day. Since he does have 2 days, he wants to just train real quick. And Zabuza does have to go back to patrolling. And Zabuza says bye. And Naruto and Haku has a day off, of course. And Naruto and Haku develop a Rasengan. Well, Haku does learn the Rasengan. Let's say he learns the first 2 steps and he's trying to learn it. And Naruto did teach him the first 2 steps. And then Haku helped him develop a Rasengan where instead of stabbing the person, it would just freeze the person. So basically he does a Rasengan, and what the Rasengan does, it damages them and it freezes. Well, Haku made an ice clone, and what happens next? Naruto says ice style or ice release freezing Rasengan. Let's say he has freezing Rasengan for this. He has the same name for both of them, so you can confuse the opponent if it's a life or death situation, and the opponent won't expect it. And then what happens is that he actually freezes parts of the clone, and he's like, maybe I should. And then basically he freezes. There is ice on where first he hit Haku's clone. So let's say he hits him on the chest. First there's ice there, and then the ice spreads onto his arms, legs, and next, and they won't go on the head as long as Naruto doesn't literally head smacks them with the Rasengan. And yeah, so that is where I'm going to end what if. Yes, I know this was literally 36 minutes of me just telling you guys of Naruto's training, but I am making Naruto the most overpowered character that can ever be in anime. And I'm sorry if this wasn't 50 minutes, but my class is about to start in a bit, and I don't think I'll be able to do 50 minutes before my class starts. I hope you all enjoyed. Please join my Discord. Please sub to Miniman123 who provides me with gameplay, and please sub to RATREET who made my Discord server. Also, I want you guys to follow me on Twitter if you want, a link in the description. And for the next part, since I don't want to make it like after my class, because I do need a little rest after doing classes. Let's say the next like goal is 115 likes. Whenever you get that, I will be uploading my next video. Well, I might be uploading a different wife today, and whatever. And also, you guys have to join if you guys want to ask me questions, because I am making a Q&A video. I will be making an announcement on my Discord, and I will be making a separate video about this. So I will be doing a Q&A. You can ask questions on Discord and Twitter. I will be reading only on Discord and Twitter, maybe YouTube if I want to, but mostly Discord and Twitter. If you want to ask me questions, go ask me on Discord and Twitter. So please follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. I will be making a new channel just for basically I will be making a channel, and it's going to be open from let's say what's the date today? Today is the 6th. So this channel will be open from the 8th of May all the way to the 10th. So you guys have 2 days to go and ask me questions. So if you guys want to, you could ask me questions. If not, it's fine. Or you could go and tweet me, DM me or something on Twitter by following me, and I will be reading all of them, as many as I can. Or if there aren't many questions, I could just read it off YouTube, but that depends. But I really hope you guys follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. I said it like 10 times now. Anyway, take care. Hope you all stay safe, and peace.